people. I ain't never told, I can tell who deceitful. Destined to win all them L's underneath you. I can tell if it's real in it. I won't sit with no seal with it. I don't wanna deal with it. This foundation can't crack, I'm still building it. You ain't gotta understand, but you will get it. Big trophy. I'm a young nigga. Or J.
All right, y'all. Here is a very big cherry on top of a phenomenal day. We'd like to welcome you to a live episode of Outspoken, No Distractions, Bold Women, Real Talk, live. Can I get some claps? How are you guys feeling? I hope this will be a very fun and cherry on top ending to an amazing summit that you guys have had today. My name is Jasmine Burton. I am an attorney, comedian, and co-host of a video blog and podcast called No Distractions, and we're here to do a live taping with you guys. So without further ado, I'm going to bring up the woman of the hour, Regina Davis Moss.
Oh my God. I don't know about the women of the hour, but we'll see where that goes.
How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. And we've been here for 2 days. We are gathering, we are strategizing, and you know what happens when Black women come in the room.
Right? That's exactly right. That is exactly right. You know, before I get into the questions, I am really excited because I got a gift from you and I opened the card and it was handwritten. And that is so beautiful. And I appreciate that because you're one of the busiest women I know and took the time to write me a handwritten card. So I really appreciate that.
That's the least we can do. And that's just my way of showing you that we care.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what Black women do. We take care of each other, and you're special.
Thank you. And so I do want to get into it because we have a whole bunch of Black women in the room, and I want to talk about the importance of that specifically. Why and what does it mean? Why is it so important physically, mentally, spiritually for Black women to gather?
You know, when I think about, I'll say personally, when we gather, it's like, how you get around your friends and you walk in, you feel like you can just take your shoes off, you sit down, you're being taken care of. It's like a safe space. That is so important to me personally. They're often thinking about things you never even thought you needed to think about. But politically, it's important that we gather because that's where we strategize. That's where we dream. That's actually the thing that they're most scared of. They're very scared when Black women gather because that's when we do that. It's nothing. We're unstoppable.
I agree. We are unstoppable. And we have our third Black woman gathering with us today.
Hey.
Hi.
You want to introduce yourself?
Hi, y'all. I'm Elizabeth Booker Houston. I'm Jasmine's co-host for No Distractions, and I go by Booker Squared on social media, and I'm really excited to be here.
So good to see you.
Good to see you, too.
They said we're a fan. We were just talking about the importance of Black women gathering, and I did want to hone in on something that you said because I feel the same way. As it feels like they don't want us to gather.
Absolutely
It feels like they want us to be divided, but we're really sitting here recognizing the collective power of what happens when we do gather. It's sisterhood. It's importance. It's where the best ideas are bred when we come together. And so you already kind of talked about it a little bit, but tell me about more your personal experience of sisterhood and collective action when Black women gather together.
I talked about that a little bit, but it's, when I'm around my girls, the people that I know have my back and they do something for me that I didn't know I needed, that warm feeling, that feeling that you feel like that's not intangible, but it's like really the depth of what sisterhood is. That's what is so important to me when I get with my girls. First of all, they're going to get me straight. Usually they're telling me what's going on with your hair, something, they're getting me together. But then, we come together and I tell them I might have these ideas. They help me strategize. They fed me. By the time I've left that room, we've got a whole plan. So that is so important to me when I'm gathering with my sisters.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's been very helpful, especially in this time. And Jasmine and I, we work in such a digital space. And I know people always talk about needing to go outside and touch grass. And I'm like, I need to touch grass with Black women, like specifically. It can't just be anybody. And so there's so much that comes from actually gathering physically together and being with each other in person. And I feel like that gives us a lot of power as well.
Yeah, I think also this notion of when we gather intentionally, right? So we're gathering not just with strategy, but we're also gathering with joy. And those are the two things that they hate the most because that's where resistance happens.
I love that you talk about joy because I feel like that's so pivotal. Like, I feel like everything that's happening in the world really bogs you down. It's tough to be confronted with the fact that there is a large majority. Actually, I think they are a minority, but there is a large group of people that don't want to see you gather, that don't want to see you succeed, that want to do everything in their power to strip you of your autonomy and authority. And it's really powerful for me when we come together in these spaces because we're defying that group while also coming as our authentic selves, as joyful and playful and excited and all the things that make us unique as Black women.
I mean, and you see, they will actually try to police our joy. Did you see that thing when it was like all these people on a cruise ship and they didn't want them to use the fans over the summer? So, you know, there are all these ways that they're to try to, I mean, aside from trying to not allow us to gather to protest, sometimes I see it even in terms of institutional funding. They will underfund us so that we can't gather and do things like this. I mean, we're meeting here in this place, we meet every 2 years. And I have to raise this money to do it the way that I know that it needs to be done because when we're coming together, we are coming so that we can plan and do all the things that we need to do. So I absolutely believe that's important, you know, to have that intention when they're gathering as well.
Yeah, and you talked about policing joy, and we see it in so many ways. And since we talk about reproductive rights here, right? Leslie Mack, who we adore, made a great observation that I saw on Threads today, and it was talking about how people are trying to police Cardi B's joy of being pregnant with her 4th child and trying to decide for her what she can handle, what she wants, what she doesn't want, even though she will have 4 children who have 2 different fathers, right? But she's obviously very happy. And reproductive rights don't just come with like the decision to not have children, but also not policing the joy when women choose to have children or build their family, even if it's non-traditional or in a way I or you necessarily wouldn't. And I thought that was such a good point, especially when we talk about pop culture. I mean, we have a president got how many baby mamas?
Literally, right?
But people want to be mad at Cardi B, who obviously loves and has the support and the means to take care of her children, right? And it's just something that was on my mind earlier today because I saw Leslie just make a post about that topic, and I think it was just really spot on.
I wanted to talk about, since we're on the topic of reproductive justice, I think that people don't understand that it's inextricably tied to democracy as a whole, and that when you restrict people of their freedoms, even in the form of reproductive justice, that logic and precedent can be transferred to other things that affect us. And so just to get your perspective, how is reproductive freedom and justice essential or inextricably tied to democracy?
Yes, so I mean, really reproductive justice or freedom, but we prefer justice, is really about being self-determining about our futures and to have the right to be self-determining affirmed and respected. Okay, and so when you can't do that, when you don't have control over your body, when you don't have the resources and the support to raise or expand your family, if you choose, then you can't have control over your destiny. And so, and then if you're having your reproductive freedoms or your reproductive rights restricted, you are in survival mode. You know, you can't be, now we do it well, but imagine it's boundless what we could do if we were not having to focus on being in survival mode because these things are being restricted because I have to be worried about, you know, keeping my jobs, staying in school, all these other things all these barriers they try to put in our way that have a direct impact, not only on democracy, but deciding to expand our families.
That's a good point. And I think we just need to call it what it is when they talk about these restrictions. When you talk about reproductive freedom and democracy, we're talking about eugenics. I mean, just point blank period. That's what we're talking about, is trying to cull the populations that they find to be not desirable, right? My son is autistic. He is 5 years old. What I'm seeing right now with HHS and RFK Jr. and them targeting autistic individuals, that right there is a prime example that I'm seeing of eugenics in action. So even though I am a mother, right, and I have a child, and supposedly that is what they want women to have children, I didn't have the right type of child for society, right? And so there's a punishment that goes with that. We're seeing it with the fact that to this day, disabled people can be sterilized against their will. That is still something that is legal, that can be done for various reasons. And we're not just talking about folks who are intellectually disabled, which is a whole other set of complications, but we're talking about folks who might just have, again, autism being a good example. Maybe they're autistic, or maybe they just have some sort of physical disability and making that decision. But we're seeing this kind of creep in now. And it's really, when you talk about democracy and reproductive rights, I feel like very much eugenics is at the top of that.
If I were to say to you, reproductive justice is a private issue, not a public one, what would your response be?
I would say, how can you telling me what my body, that's a public question.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's a private decision, but that's absolutely a public question and a public conversation that has been forced upon us. But that's my answer to that.
That's a great answer.
I don't know what you think, because you're asking all the questions.
That's a good point. What do I think? I mean, I definitely think I think you framed it perfectly in that it's a private decision, but a public question. I don't think that it's something that should be dealt with in private. And I'm happy that we're having this conversation again, because I do just think that it intersects in so many different things. Education, voting rights, like all of these things are tied. And so if we take away someone's ability to do something in one regard, it makes us that much easier for us to take away someone's ability to do it in another. I was asking a lot of questions.
You sure
like an
were.
interrogation.
I know you sure were. You were that attorney side.
I know.
I was
Wait a
like,
minute.
am I on the witness stand
I
here?
know,
Or what?
Man, you know that Howard University law training came out of her.
HU?
You know.
Okay, we got a few.
I think that but we're talking about you as an attorney. Actually, this is a good transition into the next question, which I want to go ahead and pose to you, Jasmine, and then to you, Regina, if that's okay. When we talk about Black women's labor that is often made invisible in progressive spaces, I want to know how that erasure uniquely affects Black women. And I know that you, as a Black attorney, of which only 5% of attorneys in the United States are Black, even fewer are Black women. I know that I know you have some thoughts on this.
It's just so obvious right now that he's trying to resist everything that we've ever done or erase everything that we've ever done. And it's been so frustrating to me because I don't understand why the contributions of Black women should be considered not a part of American history when we're the bedrock of this democracy being created. And so this has been, I mean, if anyone follows me on Instagram, I've been ranting about this for weeks. It's been so frustrating for me because I've never seen a president that has so much time to do things that don't even matter. Like even outside of Black women, he wants to move Obama's portrait to the stairwell. I'm like, that's what you think about? Like,
The ballroom? You don't like the ballroom?
No.
He's building the ballroom?
I'm like, this is great. Like, why do you have this much time? And then just trying to eliminate things all throughout the Civil Rights Museum that specifically have been done or created or enacted by Black women has been sickening to see, especially because we are such a fundamental part of our democracy.
I mean, be clear, we're the blueprint for a lot of things, but I think the erasure is, we experience erasure double, if that's a word, twice over, right? Not only in terms of being dehumanized, but also being sidelined. So even in the movements that we worked so hard for, all the gains, we are sidelined then. So imagine that. But ultimately, we as we've been talking about all weekend, is when we win, everyone else wins. But absolutely, it's mind-boggling that they would want to. There's actually no way that you can erase Black women for all the gains that have happened in our country.
I had the honor of seeing Joyanne Reed last night when she got an award, the Vivian Malone Courage Award. And something that she said was, they didn't question if America was great until Black women started succeeding. And I thought that was such an excellent point. She said, we didn't actually question if America was great again until Black women started coming into spaces, not because we aren't good enough or don't have the meritocracy, but because we actually are succeeding and are proving that with equality and with equity, not only can we meet those standards, we can exceed them. And I feel like that's a big part of this erasure is the white boys got mad that they're not as talented as they thought they were. And I'm just going to say it like it is.
They were like, they got this job because of DEI. It's like, no, we're better than you. We are
So
better.
it's like,
Wasn't
actually,
meritocracy?
right. Actually, you're here because your daddy's a legacy and cut a check.
Yeah.
That's not. You're
Pretty much.
here. What's that joke you always say, Jasmine? I love this. So she has this one stand-up joke she does, and she's went to my baby from Calabasas. Okay, she got to grow up a different way. I'm from Memphis. We grew up very different. So she went to a majority white private school, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she said her teammates on her volleyball team one time were like, oh, my family came on the Mayflower, and somebody said, didn't everybody's? And Jasmine said, maybe underneath it.
That's one of my favorite jokes. It makes white people
Except
so
it's not a
uncomfortable.
joke.
It's a true story. I was just like, why would you say that? It was in that moment I realized that I should be a comedian, probably.
Yeah, but you talk about that discomfort and pushing people into that point of discomfort and making them reframe things. And I think this is a good time to transition to talk about strategy. And so it makes me wonder what sort of strategies and grassroots efforts can we use to resist these narratives, right? Because that's what this is. It starts as a narrative about who we are, stereotypes, archetypes, etc., erasure of our history, Mayflower. What grassroots strategies can we use in order to combat these narratives and that erasure?
Well, I mean, in the Black feminist tradition and practice, it's absolutely telling our stories. We're truth tellers. That's another thing that they resist is us, not, counteracting these narratives. So continuing to tell our stories, continuing to be truth tellers, continuing to mobilize, organize, fight, whatever and however ways we can, and just also remembering that can look a lot of different ways. It doesn't have to be. I talked to a couple of founding mothers of our movement, and a lot of them shared that when they came into that room 30 years ago, they weren't all the traditional activists as we think of them when we think of them at this time. They saw a need, they saw something wasn't right, and they stepped in and said, we need to do something about it. And most of the people in this that are here come to this movement and come to having founded their organizations based on a need that they saw in their community. And so I think that's one of the prime things that we have to remember is that it's action in the face of need. It's being a truth teller, and it's never giving up, never lifting your foot from the gas.
I love the importance of narrative. I feel like I've been seeing that or like understanding that concept so much more in the present months and in the past year. Just because you can have a certain set of facts that's told completely differently across different news sources. Like the same exact set of facts is different if you read a conservative blog, a Black newspaper, a left-leaning radio show. Like everything is different. And so I think it's very important for us to stay in constant communication and be close-knit so that we're able to know what's actually going on and then adequately respond together. So,
and I would say the strategy is definitely to not allow yourself to be beat down and feel like there's nothing you can do. I know we say this so much, but really there is no action too small in this moment. And because I'm talking to a room full of Black women, if you were white men, I'd say something different. For Black women, though, there's no action that is too small in this moment.
Yeah.
If you have a couple of neighbors that you just make sure because you have a few extra dollars, maybe they don't, and you make sure that they have formula for their kids' diapers, that you got an elderly neighbor who can't get around, you make sure that you can get their prescriptions for them, whatever. Like that kind of community work feels so small, but if every single person is doing that, we're taking care of each other in this moment, and that's keeping us strong.
I love that.
And it's so important to have that. I don't know if there are any teachers in the room, any educators. I don't know if there's any in here right now. Also, to just really lock in with your children's teachers.
Yeah.
Really lock in with them. And that it is important, really important now. It's always been important, but with the attacks on the education system, it's extremely important to make sure that we are supporting our teachers back because they get a lot of disrespect.
Yeah.
And are going to be the ones who are, for very little money, fighting to make sure that our children are educated, especially in the time of misinformation and disinformation, and really supporting them in those efforts.
Yeah.
And even if you don't have kids, like my baby's auntie here, little childless auntie with her money, the bougie auntie, making sure that you are still supporting those things in the community that make a good community.
Yeah.
Like making sure to say, like, yeah, I want to sign this petition to clean up this park. I ain't got no kids, but the kids need somewhere to go. And if the kids are at the park, guess what? They're not in my front yard causing trouble. Like, it benefits everybody and really that shared community.
Absolutely. I think maternal health is community health, right? There's a shared value with that. And whether you may not be a mom at this moment, you certainly have people in your family that you have loved on, and that is just so important to just the Black feminist tradition, is that our hearts are big. Mm-hmm. We love hard and we love big, and we open our arms to anyone that's our babies.
I love it. I'm in there. I'm like, reproductive justice is large. Y'all fight for maternal health. I fight for birth control, and that's okay.
Well, that is actually one of the core tenets of reproductive justice, the right to not have a child.
Jasmine said, not my uterus.
Not today.
No occupancy. Well, the next little segment we have is actually Jasmine's favorite thing that we do. And I've dubbed this called Made You Say That.
Do you guys watch SNL? The end of the year episode where Michael Che writes things for Colin Jost to say, and Colin Jost writes Michael. So we're going to do that. I've written things for Elizabeth. She's written things for me. And then we've both written things for Regina. None of us have seen them. And these are yours.
Do I keep it like this until it's time to read?
Yes.
Am I first?
We won't make you go first. We'll let you go after us to give you a feel for how this goes. And the goal is to make us say very out-of-pocket stuff, right? That's the goal. And since we are here, when we're talking about reproductive justice, we have made them reproductive justice focused. So I will start.
Are you guys ready?
Are you ready? Okay. Okay. I personally believe the best place to get reproductive advice is in the comment section of Joe Rogan's podcast. Between him, JD Vance, and my ex-boyfriends, I think we're in great hands.
Liz, that is crazy to say.
Wow. Trying to cancel me. Okay.
I will go next. I am very pro-choice because I'm a Christian. If I got unexpectedly pregnant, I'm giving custody back to the father. This one is crazy.
Wow, that's so crazy, Jasmine.
This one is crazy.
Regina, your thoughts?
I'm scared. I hate that the GOP pretends that they are against post-birth abortions. They support them every day, only they call them school shootings. Oh my God.
Hot take, Regina.
Am I going to have a job after this?
Camera. That's on camera.
Okay.
This one.
Honestly, I don't trust myself to make decisions about my own body. I leave that up to male state legislatures who have never found the clit. Wow.
That one was great. I don't know why you think this. You should not be up here. Take the mic. Take the mic. Okay. I heard that Pete Hegseth's favorite type of contraception is an IUD because it has the same letters as his favorite crime to commit.
Honestly, I agree. Whiskey Leaks is crazy.
That was a good one.
Okay. JD Vance criticized working parents for asking for help when it comes to childcare, but that's easy for him to say. He enslaved a South Asian woman to raise his children, or he refers to her as his mother-in-law.
Not you saying he enslaved his mother-in-law. Wow,
That is
Regina.
funny. That was a good one. This is great. I like this game.
Are you enjoying it? It's because you wrote the most out-of-pocket ones. I already know.
Okay.
Jesus. You know what? I just really miss the 1800s. Nothing like some good old-fashioned reproductive oppression. If there's one thing I want in my uterus, it's government oversight.
Wow, government oversight. You agree with that?
You know what, Jasmine? Read your card.
This is my last one. Okay. Missouri just passed a law to weaken ballot initiative powers that helped citizens vote yes for abortion rights. Honestly, this is fine. White women in Missouri have Chapel Roan, so do they really need reproductive freedom?
Pink Pony Club.
Pink Pony Club.
Okay. I don't understand how the Republican Party can lecture anyone about decency. Their president walks around all the time with his neck labia hanging out. It's completely inappropriate.
His neck does look like a coochie. If you look at it,
I was like, am I
Trump's
reading
neck
that?
does look like he needs draws on his neck.
Yes.
Just saying.
He got a fatty. I love that. That was funny. Wait, what did you think of that game?
Oh, I loved it. I loved it. What did
I'm
y'all
glad-
think of
Did
it?
you guys
What did
like-
you all think?
We need a little humor. Life is hard.
We do.
Life
And
is hard.
Speaking of humor, I'm excited for this next segment. So, Jasmine, as the resident non-mom on stage, right? We are going to pose some information to you about, growing babies.
You knew about this?
I didn't know about this
No,
one.
no. Regina did not have any in this, but she's gonna egg it along because I know
Okay.
she's gonna want to jump in.
I condone this.
This is purely just to watch her reactions because she has the best reactions to just being completely shocked.
Okay.
So, what do you know about placenta?
Ugh. No, I saw on TikTok once that sometimes people eat it for nutrients. Is that a thing? Do white people do that or we do that too? Okay, so it's a group. Oh, it's a group placenta. Okay. That's all I know. I don't know what it carries. Is that when the water breaks? That's what the baby was in.
No. Okay.
What is it?
The placenta is an organ that you grow when you have a baby in your uterus. You grow this entire organ that provides nutrients to your baby.
Oh wow.
And when it detaches from your body, it leaves a dinner plate sized wound inside of your uterus. And that's why you bleed for like 6 weeks after giving birth, because that wound is healing.
That's why they tell women you can't have sex for 6 weeks after pregnancy, because it's you're healing your placenta.
And there's a big old wound in there and it gets bacteria and stuff.
I already was shaky on having the. I don't know. This is crazy. You have
She
this
said
too?
she wanted some birth control.
I did.
She wanted some birth control. So really to talk about though, this segment is funny, but also it's just to put across a serious point, which is that when we talk about reproductive justice and we talk about forcing women to carry babies, right? This is a very serious thing. And I thought it would be interesting if you and I share some of our wildest pregnancy symptoms with Jasmine, and I can start pregnancy nose.
It's a real thing.
It's a real thing. My nose grew like 4 times its size.
I don't think it goes back because mine is still here.
Mine went back. Well, your nose is still beautiful.
Oh,
Mine
well.
went back. Thank God, because I looked like Shrek. It was horrible.
Your nose gets bigger?
It can. Yeah.
Mhm.
That's just one thing.
Yes.
Yeah. What was your craziest or one of your most unexpected symptoms that you recall?
I don't want to gross you out, but the amount of discharge.
Mm.
Oh. it increases?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's all kind of different
I
stuff.
changed my drawers like 4 times a day when I was pregnant.
I don't even know if I have that. How many times I got to do laundry if that's happening? Did you just start wearing
She said,
diapers?
how many times I got to do laundry, not thinking about when the baby comes, and she's washing 20 onesies a day from blowouts. This is
Oh
funny.
my gosh.
Yes.
So pregnancy nose, unusual amounts of
Yes.
discharge. What else can I-
Gingivitis. 70% of pregnant women have gingivitis because the hormones rot your teeth out.
Gingivitis?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I like how this entire segment is just traumatizing Jasmine a little bit.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, let's hear one
Wait.
more from you, Regina.
Nipple cream. Do you know about nipple cream?
No. No.
Yeah.
What do you have to put it on for? It's to prevent itching?
Itching? No, because your nipples get really cracked and they're sore. When that baby latches on,
Oh.
they're on for dear life.
Yeah.
And y'all all went this y'all went through this too?
She said no.
No.
Amber said hell no. She said no. It's again, making light of it, but this brings up a very serious issue when we talk about maternal health, especially with Black women. It is not the easiest or safest thing to carry a baby. And when we talk about forcing people to go on this journey, right, to really what's a medical event, and choosing to take on this medical event, or rather not choosing, we are really talking about, I feel like that is a very violent thing to ask of women and to force upon women. It's a beautiful thing when you knowingly go into the journey and you know you're going to take on the risks and the different things that happen when it comes to wanting to bring a child into the world. But having that forced upon someone makes no sense to me. And I just want to know your thoughts on that as someone who has not had a child. When you start to hear about these things, and we've talked about the lighthearted things, but you and I have also done episodes talking about folks like Adriana Smith, who is the woman in Georgia who was kept on life support. Purely to be an incubator, though she was brain dead, for the baby that was 8 weeks pregnant when she was hospitalized, right? And we talk about very serious scenarios like that. And I just want to know, when you hear about these things and you hear about kind of the realities of even a safe and traditional pregnancy, how does that really make you feel about these reproductive restrictions?
I think for me, just the whole idea of pregnancy, I've seen so many different types of women pregnant, albeit when I listen to my mom's stories, when I listen to see my friends that have had babies. But it's interesting because I don't think I've fully understood conceptually how dangerous pregnancy was until you see those things firsthand when people you love experience these things. Like, I think the first time I really started being interested in reproductive justice and what was going on, and this might sound cliche, but when Serena Williams was talking about the fact that she almost died. And I was like, girl, you were a millionaire. Could people die when you got that much money? Like, that was obviously a naive question, but I'm thinking if it can happen to Serena Williams, it can happen to anyone. And so then I start deep diving and I get a whole bunch of information about that Black women are more likely to die during childbirth and the dangers of it and all the things that come with it. I had a friend who was pregnant, and at about 7 months, she found out that her partner had cheated on her. Her blood pressure rose so high that she had to be induced early because it could have been dangerous if she remained pregnant. And I was like, what? Like, that's so scary. And although obviously people have beautiful stories, like my mom had an angelic pregnancy. If you ask her, she was like, this is the best thing I've ever done. She was like floating, but then that's a rarity from what I understand, is that some people have very difficult pregnancies, and that is a reality.
But but isn't that sad that because it's not a rarity, right?
Yeah.
But that is the narrative that they want us to believe. Now, absolutely that the maternal mortality rates are increasing, but there are a lot of Black women or Black birthing people who go on to labor very healthy. The most important part of that is that they have to have the quality health care. Now, I'm going to just be honest with you. I had the quality health care. I went to all my doctor's appointments. I did everything I was supposed to do, and I still found myself with my blood pressure spiked, my temperature spiked, my son went into fetal distress, rushed into emergency surgery. He was separated from me. I remember very clearly, they were like, we're going to move very fast. Look at me, because I need to make sure you understand what I'm saying. I'm going to give you a couple of seconds to hold your baby, and that's it. And it happened, and I did not literally see my son or hold my child for over 24 hours. Okay, this is somebody who was in a PhD program for maternal and child health, who studied every possible outcome and did everything they were supposed to do, and it still happened. So that should illuminate to you that it doesn't matter the level of education, it doesn't matter your income, it doesn't your social economic status. It is still a larger thing in our system that is contributing to these outcomes that were not there when our mothers and our grandmothers. Certainly they had these issues, but not on the level that we have them now.
My mic says dead battery. So you went exactly where I was going to ask you, because you and I have had this conversation that Regina and I both in different ways had high risk pregnancies and experiences. And so I brought up the placenta because there were a couple things that happened with me. Is one, I had a velamentous cord insertion, which is where the cord is attached on the edge rather than the middle of the placenta, and my child wasn't getting enough nutrients. It also meant the cord could snap very easily and he would be stillborn very quickly if I didn't have an emergency C-section. So I think I had over 20 ultrasounds during my pregnancy for the constant monitoring. And he was also very small. Early term, but still full term, 37 weeks, he was 5 pounds, 3 ounces because he couldn't get nutrients. And on top of that, I had an extra lobe of placenta, which retained placenta is extremely dangerous and will kill you. So they had to make sure that they got all of the placenta out. And I had the very best health care. I'm a health lawyer. I'm a public health lawyer, right? I had an amazing team of women of color, Black women, Black nurses. I mean, really just the best situation you could have. And yet there were still those risks. And so I appreciate you sharing your story, Regina. And I know that there's a lot of women who can relate to what we have been through. And I can only imagine what it's like for those who didn't have someone to listen to them and care.
And I think it's just important for us, we made it, right? There's a lot of us that didn't, to make sure when we talked about how do we strategize, we keep telling that story, because that's how we make a difference, is that we cannot be afraid. It's very vulnerable to share that. And like most Black women, I haven't fully processed that trauma, but I have to keep telling that story so there's not more people like me and who absolutely can make it on the other side.
Yeah. Alexa Plain Never Would Have Made It by Marvin Sapp.
Jasmine's got all the feelings now.
No, I mean, like, I feel like I want to ask it's going to be like direct, but also like, what should my attitude toward childbirth, like, should I be scared? Should I be excited? Like, yeah. I don't know. I feel like I have moments where I know I'm going to be a mom. I think the actual like idea of carrying a child does really scare me. I was like, I might be Kim K, pay for a surrogate. Like, I don't know. But I feel like I want to be connected to my child. I want to carry. All jokes aside, I know I want to carry, but it does scare the daylights out of me. Although I know it's rewarding on the other side. So what should I feel?
Joy.
Yeah. All the joy. I mean, yeah, there's definitely the caution, and you assess risk and you make the plans. What do they always say? Plan for the worst and hope for the best, right? And make sure that hope for the best is strong.
Yeah.
Like, definitely. I'd go through it again.
Yeah. I mean, you have one of the, I guess, positives of this is that you have a lot of women who are non-birthing people as well, who have made it and to say, no, these things have to change. These are the things that I want you to do. These are the things you should be asking. These are the kind of health systems that we need in place. These are the kind of policies that we need to pass and craft so that they're not other people like this. But that's what reproductive justice is all about, is that we want to get to that side, the other side of joy and liberation and abundance, and not be in this place of having to be worried about raising our children in beautiful environments.
This makes me happy.
Can we point out the fact that Jasmine, even with all her shock and awe over what we described, she still says, I still want to be a mom one day. A man would never. And I think that speaks to just the power of women and how we really actually bring life into this world, and still knowing everything and confronting this, knowing it's going to hurt, knowing how the baby comes out, we still go ahead and do this. And it makes it even more ridiculous that men are the ones who are making laws about our bodies and making decisions about what we do. When I really don't think the majority of men could handle this. Yeah. I really don't. And so I think that's a great transition to our next segment, which is one that we love.
Yeah.
What's pissing you off? Jasmine, do you want to describe
Yeah,
this one?
so this is the point where we can hear from you guys. Just there's a whole bunch of things in the news right now, a whole bunch of things that are happening in your personal lives as well that you might want to share, that we can just chat about. And so if you want to stand up,
Yeah, and you can
if you have
shout it
something,
out or
just to let us know what's pissing you off, what's on your mind.
anything, news headline, something crazy, something, whatever.
Okay, well, I'll start while
Oh.
we're doing this.
Yeah.
Hypocrisy. You know, we talked already about meritocracy, but states' rights, freedom, family, all of these things that they say, but when it's really time to do it, or it's supposed someone else wants it, it's a whole different story, and that's wild. It's wild, but
Yeah,
it also pisses me off.
Very much so. I'm sitting here like, wait a minute, hold on now. You guys keep saying one thing, but then you're doing another. And I think a really good example of this is the censorship right now on Black women. We are seeing this now with the supposed free speech crowd. But as soon as we're seeing Black women actually speak up and speak out about our experiences, call out things like white supremacy, all of a sudden free speech doesn't work.
Yeah.
Right.
No one was outraged when Karen Attiah got fired from
Oh
the
my
Washington
gosh.
Post.
Yeah, that has been, and if you're not familiar, Karen Attiah was the last Black opinions columnist at the Washington Post. During all of the situation with Turning Point and everything, she made comments about white supremacist men, and the Washington Post fired her and said that essentially white supremacist men are a protected class, and she couldn't talk about them. And so this is just a good example of the hypocrisy that you brought up, which is also pissing me off.
Yeah, it's pissing me off too.
And then some of those issues? Are you trying to take some of our issues that we have historically fought for? I'm confused. So
That's a good point.
It's not making sense. Anybody else? Anything that's been Oh, sorry.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
So what is really pissing me off is that there is this recognition by white women that they are protected, air quotes, by white men, but understanding that the reason why they are protected is for the hate of the Black woman. So they're realizing that why they get so upset with Black women is because they feel like we don't deserve the things that they have, quote unquote. So as a result, they're like dismantling their own understanding of why they do what they do, but yet also protect it, because if we let them get, quote, air quote, what we have, then we will also lose the quote unquote privileges we have as white women, because the real issue is the white man. It's pissing me the fuck off.
That was beautifully said. Can we applaud that?
Yeah.
Because that was, yes, that was an excellent point. And I just co-sign that.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't even know what to respond. I co-sign that as well.
Hey y'all, thank you for being here. My name is Samara. I just want to say, first off, I love your guys' reels on Instagram, watch them all the time. Second, what's really pissing me off is I'm originally from Ohio, still live there actually. So obviously being from Ohio is what pisses me off. But one of the things that's actually happening is the censorship we're having in our schools. So Ohio has already, with all the federal funding cuts, there have already been colleges that have cut DEI programs. I know my college has changed one of the departments that was formative and gave me scholarships. It was a minority department. They had to change the name and change their programming. But now in the state legislature, they're trying to do that in K through 12. So that is actually up. Some legislation that will be voted on when they're back in session is banning DEI terms, banning civil rights education in K through 12. So that sucks.
It's so funny because the Supreme Court's decision that initially was made in the Harvard and UNC cases was an extremely narrow decision. But the Republican Party and the GOP specifically has figured out ways to apply this to state, to now high schools, middle schools, everything. And
it was literally just it was just like you said, it was race-based affirmative action in higher education.
Yeah, exactly.
It was very narrow. Still horrible decision, don't get us wrong. But the way they've stretched this out, and when we talk about DEI, it's really DEIA, right? Diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility. And I think that goes back to what I was talking about before with eugenics, because we're talking about trying to keep disabled people and children as well from having the accommodations that they need and basically out of sight and out of mind in society. So thank you for sharing that.
And also, I just want to make one like correlation. It was really been interesting to me in the DEI discussion is how involved white women have been in it. It was almost like they were like, "Oh no, we thought you were going to lose your job," but now that we have a problem with it. And I recently made a TikTok on this that went relatively viral. And it's that when something happens to a white woman, the way that they respond is fascinating to me. Yeah. They're like, "You cannot speak to me like that," or it's like you don't have the jurisdiction authority. They have a level of like that I have decided I'm going to start acting like a white woman. I'm going to start putting my finger in more people's faces actually and responding that way. You don't have the authority to take my rights away. You cannot do that.
Oh, I'm going to one up you. I'm going to act like a mediocre white man.
Ooh. Yeah. That's good. That's good.
Is that possible for Black women to do that?
Ooh.
I don't know. I don't know if I can get to that level of mediocrity, to be honest. Even if I'm sick, half asleep.
You're right.
I don't know if I could.
We got to channel that 1/16 that came from when we were colonized. Maybe we can bring it up, channel that ancestor for one day. I don't know.
So I will share something. So last year we were having a conversation around leading up to the election. And there was a white woman that came in the room. It was all these Black women there. And someone was like, well, are white women going to get behind, the VP? And why won't you do it? And she was very honest. She said, listen, we have been conditioned all our lives to be comfortable.
Wow.
To expect comfort. And so we're not going to mess that up. And she said, now the question that we have to ask, and what you might want to ask us, Black women asking white women, is do you want to have proximity to power or do you want your own power?
Dang.
That's a word.
That's going to keep me up at night. I'm going to wake up at 3 a.m. like, do I want to keep my own?
And I think they haven't really thought about that.
Yeah, I haven't.
Because they've been comfortable their whole lives.
You're so right. You're so right.
All right. I think we got one. Was it one more? Yes.
So I live in Michigan, and it's another place where they're
Ohio, respond. You hear this? You hear this?
so we're having issues also with the budget. They're positioning themselves to not pass our budget. And within the last, was it June when they had the No King's Day and the parade? The Republicans left in the middle of budget, in the middle of having meetings for the budget to approve the budget. They shut down for a week to go to Washington. Now we got 10 days until the deadline again, and they shut down for a week to go to that person's funeral. That was clutching our pearls. So they don't give a fuck about anybody except for themselves.
Yeah.
And that's is pissing me off. Another thing is I'm not gonna say I'm afraid. I'm concerned when my family is the wrong shade of brown. That's another thing that's pissing me off.
Yeah.
I think that's well said because they really have this expectation that they're not going to get hit by anything. And the crazy thing is, like, especially when we talk about, and I've talked a lot about like with vaccines and the vaccine policy, they act like whiteness is going to protect them from diseases. I'm like, you were the first ones to be diseased. Y'all came over, and the natives had to teach you how to wash yourselves.
They're like, washcloths? What is this?
What is this? And so, and I hate what's going on in Michigan. I just met with someone who's running for senator in your state, Abdul El Sayed. I met with him the other day, and we were talking about what's been going on in Michigan, and specifically as it affects Black and brown communities as well. And so, my only hope is that they start to realize that they are getting hurt too before everything just goes to hell. Because it's really a lack of survival skills at this point, because I'm looking around at them and I'm like, what do you think is going to happen to you? Do you really think you're going to be safe at the end of all this? Like, I don't know. It's really, the evil is so strong that they are literally cutting off their noses to spite their faces.
Yeah. Exactly.
And I believe we have one more over here.
Yes, I think we need poor people bunkers. So thank you so much for this conversation. It's been a great long day, and this is a wonderful way to close it up. So I'm Dazon, Sister Love, Atlanta, Georgia.
Woo!
And it's been pissing me off for a while. But what truly pisses me off is that the opposition, the far right, the anti-Black racists, the white supremacist embracers, they get intersectionality and do it better than we do. When I think about just from June of 22, that first they come for reproductive health and rights and our justice, they come for our newcomers, our immigrants, they come for our climate, they come for our money, they come for our jobs, they come for our education, they come for our people who are incarcerated.
You're spitting right now.
They get intersectionality and put it to practice better than we do, and we are on the right side of not just history, we are on the right side of the future and of our people. And that pisses me off that we can't put it in action better than them.
Yep. Well, I will say that the thing I always tell folks, and I agree with that, is at least they are the devil we know. I always have people say like, oh, you know, it was with the Congressional Black Caucus and their staffers, and I had a staffer ask me, oh, sometimes I feel like I'm going to talk to people who are progressive or on the left, but I don't know if it's a good environment for my Congress member. And I looked at them and said, racists exist all along the political spectrum. That's all there is to it. If they're white, I don't care if they call themselves liberal, conservative, progressive, Republican, whatever. They all have the capability to be racist and be anti-Black. Yes. And so it's one of those things where at least the far right, they know exactly what they're about and they say it with their chest and then they use it to their advantage. But we've got a whole lot of people on the left still want to play colorblindness.
And I agree. I've mentioned this. So we meet with senators and representatives all the time. And it was a closed door and it was about 25 people. And I said, if I don't take my phone out, can you answer these questions? And they were like, yes. And I was asking them why at the Democratic Party we don't have a Project 2028. And they were saying because we're not a party of followers. We won't have one person that will create a document and everyone will get behind it. We ideate ourselves out of these major things where someone's going to create it and they'll be like, what does this person know? Or what does this person know? The Republican Party, even if they don't like this person, like we even saw before Trump was elected, maybe 60% of the people in his party didn't agree with him. He got elected, they were like, well, it is what it is. I don't necessarily know if we need to take a page out of that playbook. I'm not going to say that. But the way that their party functions is so profoundly different than ours. And so we would have to just shift a few things to the point where if we do create something like that, we would have to make the decision as a party for us to all get behind it. Another thing that I think is what makes that difficult is the Republican Party just has to appease white men. We have to find an agenda that makes Black women happy, Latino immigrants happy, Latino women happy, handicapped people, Jew, like we got everybody else. It's like white men and then everybody else. And so their agendas are much easier to create because they just have to make one group happy. They also do a great job of weaponizing the language that we have used to benefit us. And even they did it, they co-opted woke, they co-opted critical race theory, and they're co-opting DEI now. And we need to figure out a way to fight back against that because they do a really good job of being like, this is the term that's gaining speed. We need to do everything in our power to reverse that. And, this is my last thing because I'm on a... So my dad's from Middletown, Ohio. He went to the same high school as J.D. Vance. He was on punishment for 2 weeks when J.D. Vance was elected. I didn't speak to him, even though he's not even a Republican. But when I went to visit my grandmother in Ohio for her birthday in August, she's a Leo, love her. She doesn't listen to me.
I love Leos.
There were so many advertisements when I was watching TV. And they were all Republican advertisements. And then I was like, okay, I want to go 30 minutes down the road. I turned on the same news station, same thing, Republican advertisements. So I started paying more attention to it. And I was like, we don't have any ads in these cities. So we're like, how do Republicans reach these people? They're going to the neighborhoods we're not thinking of. And fuck that.
Democrats just gave up on the South.
Yeah, I agree. We need to get the South back, especially because if we can flip Georgia, that's something that can be replicated in Louisiana, Alabama.
And Stacey already did it.
Yeah.
They acted like a Black woman didn't already do it. Right. We can do it.
Yeah.
Twice.
Do it
I love Nikema Williams. Shout out Atlanta.
All right. So I think
we have one more.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I have one more.
Hi. Okay.
How are you? Two, they're sort of related. My first is shrinkflation. I really would like to start getting a gallon of ice cream when I go to get a gallon of ice cream again, because they're no longer a gallon, but the price is the same, and I'm kind of tired of it.
Right, right.
But related to that is deregulation is really pissing me off across the board. I have said for the last 10 years that, in my opinion, deregulation is domestic terrorism. And so watching all of these regulations fall by the wayside, whether it's about our drinking water, our food sources, our forests, manufacturing, we are about to reach a critical point where honestly, almost anything that we're going to buy, we do not know how safe it is.
Right.
And we're seeing scarier and scarier recalls because they've pulled down restrictions. And so deregulation is really stressing me out and pissing me off.
Yes. Oh my God. If my whole life is public health law and administrative law, and that's what I've been doing for almost a decade with HHS, and I've worked in 4 of the operating divisions at HHS, the last one being the Food and Drug Administration when you talk about safety. And I left last month. I had to. I no longer could. I got forced out under this administration. And it pisses me off so badly because everything that I had done was to fight against deregulation. And it's like this administration came in and just wiped away not just the almost decade of work that I put in, but I mean the decades of work before me in one fell swoop. And so I am with you on that.
And how long do you think it's going to take to get it back?
That is the big question. And I hope to go back to my career. That is my hope, is that I will delete my socials. Y'all won't ever need me again. And I will go back to being a public
She wanted to
servant.
delete her social so bad, bitch. I follow you. I'm not letting you go.
I want to delete them so bad. And I just want to go back to doing what I was doing. And I know it's gonna take a long time to get back. But as we talk about getting back, I do want to close out, I think, with one question for each of us. I know it's flown by. And I think this is a really important question. And it's, what does healing look like for you? And whoever wants to go first.
We have a whole room over there. It's called Renewal and Revolution. That is where people get to choose what their practice is. But for me, I will tell you, it has evolved. So, it used to look like a lot of studying, reading, trying to do self-improvement. I guess back in the day that would have been called self-help kind of thing. And that worked, but then I realized that that's just one part of it. The other part of it is that whatever you're working through, you got to be vulnerable. You got to talk about it and get it out, right? There's no way around it. Someone talked about that yesterday. Around it, under it, you got to go through it. So that was the next step for me. And now it's just listening to whatever it is that I need, and just doing that. And sometimes it might just be going and sitting and quietly for 10 minutes. It might be getting a massage, but it looks different. But the most important part for me was the next step, which was sharing.
I love that. Jasmine.
I think I want to be able to take a day of rest without feeling guilty. And I think that we can do better across the board at giving each other grace a little bit and not needing to be perfect in this moment. It's okay to be bogged down. You know this about me. Like it's very difficult for me to be online. Although I do talk about the law, I usually prefer escapism on social media. I want to talk about all the things that don't matter because we're constantly bogged down with the things that do. And sometimes when I'm not focused on those things, I feel guilty because I'm like, this, and this is happening, and I'm using my platform to talk about Love Island, which is, but sometimes we do just need a moment, and that's okay. And it doesn't mean that you're not a perfect ally, or it doesn't mean you're not fighting for the things that you believe in, but we're allowed, or maybe this is just me, speaking to myself for a moment. I'm allowed to have a second and to give other people a second.
Ooh, I need to try that too.
I'm tired.
I will say what healing looks like for me is to stop trying to be tough all the time. I had to admit to my husband, with a lot of the threats and things that have been going on lately, that I actually am scared of certain things, and leaning into that. And instead of trying to run away from the fear, acknowledging it and figuring out a way to actually overcome it, right? I had to leave my career because I finally had to admit this is not serving me and I'm not tough enough to navigate this and also do all the commentary and all the activism and all the things, because I was maybe clocking 3 hours of sleep a night and I was getting sick and trying to find and I felt guilty. Part of that was guilt of, if I have all of these resources and access and a platform and the degrees, I feel like I should be always doing everything I can do. And I feel incredibly guilty for not being tough enough to do that. And so I'm trying to find a way to remember that I'm a human being. I'm also a mom and I'm also a wife, and trying to also focus on my family. And I know whether you are, do any kind of activism, you're on social media, whatever, I feel like this resonates with so many Black women. It doesn't matter what it is that you are doing. It feels like we're always doing everything all the time. And so trying to really step back.
And we talked about that yesterday, like rest is part of the work. It doesn't come after the work. It's part of the work.
We have to take care of ourselves too. I love that. Do you have anything that you want to say now that we ended the panel? How do you feel?
Well, me and Jasmine, first of all, are so grateful that we could share on
literally.
stage with you.
You're going to love your gift. I already opened mine.
Of course, I'm so glad that you were here. We are all so glad that you were here. Can we give him a round of applause? This show is all about bold truth, trusted voices. So please keep doing what you do. Keep being truth tellers. We need you. And thank you. Thank you for all that you do.
Thank you, Regina. Can we please give a round of applause for Regina? And this wouldn't happen without you. Thank you so much. And thank you, everyone. Really, thank you so much for being here. This has been beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah, this is great. I'm taking these water. I'm like Denzel. I'm leaving here with something.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Bye, y'all.
Don't go too far because we have some sacred to give away.